Did your experience, going back to the part of, what the religion aspect, did your experience with, you hearing anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, and the experience with your family and stuff like that, did that deter you away from the church, or did you find your own connection to, you know, God or whoever you believe in outside of that?
I don't go to church anymore. Like the rest of my family, rest of my family still does, but I do not. I found my own connection with God. I know that unfortunately that a lot of people in the LGBTQ community, they wound up because of all the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric that they hear around them, that they just totally get rid of religion from their lives completely. And I do feel that that's at the urging more so of the person who I would call the gay parent, because when a lot of people, when they come out, there's always that older person who's been more experienced and kind of in a way guides them through the community. So I think part of that is why they start just getting rid of religion from their lives altogether, or any kind of real connection with God or a higher being.
So my personal experience has kind of led me away from the church. I still miss a lot of the things that I kind of grew up with, like the fellowship, the things that like singing, the little services and everything else like that. But I know that there's not really a place for me in those circles, so I wouldn't want to put myself or set myself up in a way. So I kind of don't. I'll still visit a church every now and then, but like I refuse to go to a Spanish Pentecostal church. Like that's kind of like where I draw the line, because I already know how they gotta give it up. So for me, through that experience, it has led me more to be into spirituality, and I've kind of done a little bit of everything. Like I studied a little bit of Islam with my friend Eunice out in the Midwest. I did Buddhism. I studied Buddhism. I shouldn't say did Buddhism, but a little bit of witchcraft as well, Santeria, leukemia, a little bit of everything. Because a lot of the messages are kind of saying the same thing, just different dialect or tongue to kind of explain and express the same thing. So that's kind of what I've come across in my journey since I haven't been in church since I've been like 18, 19. So I'm 35. It's been over 10 years.
So now, where are you now in your... Well, look, I know you are now practicing spirituality. What is the practice that you do practice?
So currently, like what I'm studying right now is leukemia, or Santeria, as some people know it. So I've been focusing on that, ancestral veneration as well, learning more about the Orishas, which are spirits or guide, like forces, natural forces that can help us kind of move certain obstacles, or kind of guide us, or teach us a lesson, or sometimes be mischievous to teach us a lesson. So that's kind of what I've gotten into and I've been studying more of. So I definitely feel a connection with that, as well as Espiritismo is another one, and looking even into my indigenous ancestry with the Taino Indians and who they worshipped, which was Atabe. Atabe is like the supreme creator and ruler of like the world. She gave birth to herself, and then she gave birth to everything else, including the male divine. So like I've been kind of, that's kind of been like my journey, and it's been eye-opening for me. and actually has been beneficial to me, especially getting connected with my ancestors and having certain confirmations and seeing certain things through, and knowing that I'm a lot stronger than even I kind of thought. So
it allowed me, it actually freed me, to actually build my own relationship. It freed me up for that, because I didn't just look at my church's perspective. I looked at other religious perspectives too, and basically they all have this one perspective in common. So I took that one common thing that they all had and said, well, I see that between all of them, they don't deny that there's this existence. So I can feel pretty comfortable with that. And then other things I would just study. I would study Christ's life through the Bible. I would study Christ's life through Hebrew, the Torah, and through the Quran, and look and see the commonalities in it, and say, oh, well, none of these folks are denying that he existed. It's just that we get the wrong description of who this person was, and we get misled as to what this person really taught. And you'll hear people say, well, why are they called Christians? And they'll say, well, that's because that's what Jesus taught. No, that's not what Jesus taught. Jesus didn't teach Christianity. Christian was a name given to those who followed Christ at Antioch. Society gave Christians that name. Jesus didn't. That wasn't what Jesus taught. Jesus didn't teach Christianity. That's not what he taught. It's just not. But this is what they tried to teach you. And that's not it. And to be honest with you, this thing with the cross, there's some shit with that too. That whole cross thing, that's Emperor Constantine's thing. Emperor Constantine had a vision of the cross and said something with the letters on it, and it says, with this symbol we will conquer. That came from Emperor Constantine. So this thing, so there's some shit. There's some shit with it. Is there a Christ? Yes. More than likely, yes. But the way you're being taught about him is just wrong. It's just wrong. We're hearing shit that like, oh, the cross is the cross that. No. That cross is a symbol from Emperor Constantine. He came up with that. Nobody really knows how Jesus was crucified, or how Jesus was actually lynched, crucified, and died. No one actually really knows exactly how it was done. But yes, it did happen.
So my experiences, growing up as a LGBTQ person who was raised Muslim, now going into spirituality, none of that deterred me from God or anything, because I do believe in God. None of it deterred me away from it. I would say that when I did leave Islam, I actually found my connection to God via, my spiritual practices and everything. And yeah, so it didn't really deter me from anything. It was what it was. From your perspective, what do you think the reason is there's so much hatred and ignorance and just like pushback against LGBTQ individuals when it comes to Christianity, Islam, the whole shebang?
Because people in general, they're taking there's a couple of things, there's a couple of reasons why, but basically they're using these books as some type of, a cloak for their hatred, to say, well, this book says I'm supposed to hate you. The Bible says I'm supposed to hate you. No, the Bible doesn't say that. No, it doesn't. Well, it says right here in Leviticus, the abomination of God's law, their blood shall be upon them. Da, 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 da. Okay, first of all, Leviticus, that was made when man had no law. We had just come out of we had just come out of wandering in the fucking desert, right? We had just come out of, if this is what you believe, we had just come out of Egypt and we were wandering in the desert. Because remember, we came out of Egypt, we were wondering how many years wandering in the desert. We had no law. God made that law because we had no law wandering around in the desert. That's when that came up. But when we got a law, man began to have a society. And God allowed man to have a society because man had to earn a living, pay taxes, this, that. He allowed that to happen. So all of this shit that they like to come up with, it's book driven mainly, and it's hypocritical because they use this book to stand on some shit to say, well, this book says you're out of pocket with what you like to do. You gay man, the book says. That's what the book says. And that's what they use that a lot. Even, I'm trying to think, like, I haven't seen too many people who are, let's say, agnostic, for instance. Which I'm sure there are people who are agnostic who have the same hatred for gay people. But I don't understand their hatred for gay people. If you're agnostic or atheist, if you're atheist or you're agnostic, I don't understand your plight against gay people if there's no religious, context to your disagreement with them. Like, you agnostic or atheist, why are you so against gay men and women? Most that I know, I don't really see that come from them. I see it mainly come from the religious ones. The ones who go to church. Or the ones who are, whatever religion they are. I see that from them mostly. I think it's more of a religion thing. And a book thing that tells people, when you see this group of people, this is how you have to treat them. Because a book tells them that that's how they got treated.
Right. Now, from your perspective, do you think that is causing a lot of people to abandon religion, especially the churches and whatnot, now especially a lot of young kids?
Mm-hmm. I think it does have an impact. I think it does have an impact, a heavy impact, because people are seeing how are you so against me being in the church, who I am, but yet and still when I'm not there, you have a problem because no young people are in the church. Well, that's because when I come there, you tell me I'm not allowed in the church. But when I don't come there, you tell me I need to get more young people in the church. So you only want a certain type of young people. Is that what you say? You don't want all young people. You just want certain ones. Yeah, see. That's what people have a problem with. The church is not all accepting. They say they are, but they're not all accepting. They're really not. And people are running away. People are running away. The church is just they're gonna have to like change the game up. They're gonna have to switch up and go southpaw if they want to get more people back into the church. They're gonna have to go out and reach those people and accept them in. How you gonna tell a gay man that he can't be in the church when half y'all choir directors is gay and half you motherfuckers that sit up here musicians is gay and half of them done wrote? Who do they think wrote them hymns? How do they think half them hymns got written? But we can't have these gay motherfuckers in the church. Shit. Choir director gay as I don't know what. Choir director, he up there just directing, he gay as hell. Like, but he can't be in the church? He can't be in the church? You won't tell him he can't be in the church. You're a musician. Your musician got 3 boyfriends. You won't tell your musician, I dare you. Go and tell your musician, and you pay him too? You pay, because that's what they do, the musician, they pay him. Like, and you pay him? Go ahead and tell your musician that. A lot of hypocrisy that goes on in the church. A lot of that. It makes people run away. It turns me away too. You know what I mean? And I still have love for the church and for the people there. I still have love for them, but they're gonna have to get a better perspective on the people that make up their congregation, because they just like, they don't have to see shit. They're like, I don't have to see this.
Do you feel that now, in like 2023 going into 2024 soon, that churches are now more accepting of LGBTQ individuals compared to when you were growing up? Or do you feel it's the same, or etc.?
I feel they're more tolerant. I can't necessarily say accepting, because like my mom has told me like things going on in the church as to why I should try to come back, or it wasn't like that it was back then. They didn't say that sort of thing. But that does not, for me, the reason I have no intention of going back is because that does not change the fact that the church is still preaching the same rhetoric that is what they say is in the Bible. So I have no time in my life for that hypocrisy or that, tolerance, or just trying to placate me in some kind of way. I want you to be, if you want me in your life, I want you to accept me fully for who I am and acknowledge every part of who I am.
At least for other churches and other denominations, I do think that there is more acceptance, like Presbyterians, Anglicans, Lutherans. I've seen Methodists as well. It's when you start getting into the charismatic, Pentecostal, speaking in tongues, holy rulers, where it's still the same. Nothing's really changed. So I think in that aspect, yes, the changes, that there's more acceptance, but not where it's needed, actually. Not where like this fanaticism and this religious ideology tends to come from the evangelism, evangelical Christians, or Pentecostal Christians that kind of think the same. So,
So when it comes to Islam, I would hope so. I mean, we're in 2023, going into 2024 soon. Wow, when you think of that, time is really going by fast. But when you think about it, I would hope so. I would like to hope so. However, in today's climate, you never know. I would say it's a yes and a no. I will say when I had moved to New York City back in 2018, that was the first time I ran into a group or a community of openly LGBTQ Muslims. And I was like, where have y'all been all my life? Because growing up, all I heard was, homosexuality is bad and that's a no, da 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 da. And then to see it was really good to see. It was really great to see. And so I want to say yes. However, again, I do know in the current political climate we are in right now, where anti-LGBTQ laws are being introduced into legislation and all around, even worldwide, I want to say yes and no. Yeah, say yes and no. Yeah. So one of the things I always tell people when, they are interested in, getting into the craft is that, education is important. It's essential to educate yourself on the different practices, the history and all that stuff, because many people come into the religion, based on what they see on TV and Hollywood and everything, and it's not always accurate. Actually, 95% of what people are coming in with the mindset is not accurate. They're going based off what they see in Charmed and Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Bewitched and all stuff. That's Hollywood shit. That's not what the real deal thing is about, and you can hurt yourself or others if you're not careful, And so I always tell people, do your education. Learn about the different practices, see what calls to you, because we all don't walk the same path. We all don't believe in the same things. We all don't practice the same stuff. And your path is your path. My path is not your path. It doesn't work like that. So, I always tell people just to educate yourself and learn. And you're going to always learn. The craft is a journey throughout life of learning things, So I tell people to educate yourself. Also, be open to things you'll experience and stuff. Learn how to ground, learn how to protect and shield yourself. Ultimately learn what calls to you. There are many people, like in all, religions, there are many people who try to tell you, oh, you need to practice this, you need to believe in that, and da 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 da. You don't have to do none of that. You can believe in, what calls to you. You can believe in what you believe in. You can practice what you want to. And that's okay. You don't have to listen to anyone who's telling you something. As long as you're doing your research and you are understanding of things and you're being careful and you're not harming others or yourself, But yeah, my journey has been really great, with the craft and, my spirituality. I'm at peace.